I was supposed to be at that fight, but something happened where I had to basically stay home. But nevertheless, Virgil Ortiz wins a questionable majority decision over Bohuchek. And I got to say, it's a very questionable decision, but it kind of makes me go back to what happened with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Devin Haney was winning that fight until he got dropped 3 times, which caused him to fight. Where people were talking about he got his ass beat, actually, Devin Haney was on his way to winning that fight. But, at the end of the day, Ryan Garcia, his roids kicked in, and basically, he dropped Devin Haney. And, it doesn't matter now because the decision got wiped off of Ryan Garcia's record. But I will say this much about Virgil Ortiz. Did Virgil Ortiz get exposed tonight? Well, it comes down to how do you find exposed? Did he show that he's beatable? Did he show that he's elite? Did he show that he can beat any of the other 154-pound guys? Question marks surrounding Virgil Ortiz on how he would do against the Tim Zoos, Terence Crawford, Fundora. And it was kind of funny. Virgil Ortiz said that he wanted to test himself against Terence Crawford. Then he turns right back around and says, well, you want to fight the winner of Fundora and Errol Spence. So basically, he doesn't really want to fight Terence Crawford. So, what can I say? I thought the dude did enough. I thought Bohuchuk had did enough to win the fight. I mean, he dropped Virgil Ortiz twice. Now, in the first round, they had to overrule it. They waved it off as a non-knockdown, but I clearly saw Virgil Ortiz get hit in his equilibrium, and he went down. He wasn't hurt, but he got up. Then he had a late reaction knockdown, I think, in the 8th or 9th round, where he clearly got hit, and then it sort of like was a late reaction, but that was clearly a knockdown. But the last 3 rounds, Virgil Ortiz did come on strong. He hurt the guy a couple of times, but he just refused to go down. And Virgil Ortiz got hurt with a lead right that really buzzed him. And Virgil Ortiz was hurt a few times in that fight his damn self. But at the end of the day, when the star of the network, one of the dudes that they're backing, they're gonna give him more credit than what they're giving the other guy. But I thought that the other guy should have got the nod. But it is what it is, man. I don't make the rules. I don't score fights. But I had it 7-5 in favor of Buhuchuk, excuse me, doesn't have an I. But thought he should have got the fight. But, once again, did I see some vulnerabilities in Virgil Ortiz? Absolutely. And this is what happens. I say this all the time when I watch boxing. This is what happens when you don't condition a fighter to go rounds when he gets knockout happy. Because then if he doesn't get the knockout early, then he starts trying to do too much. But I did see some solid, boxing skills. I did see him trying to, pop the jab. And Virgil Ortiz was landing some nice body shots at close quarters, and then he was going upstairs with the overhand. But boy, did he get touched up. He was leaking. He was hurt throughout the fight. But, he's the network guy. Golden Boy has a network deal with the Zone. So, in all likelihood, they're going to go with that guy. But I thought that Virgil Ortiz, in all likelihood, lost that fight. Well, as far as nobody cares what Ryan Garcia think. Ryan Garcia is a attention whore. He's just trying to basically stay relevant by just sitting up saying outlandish stuff. We all know that. That Bud would knock the Chipotle out of Ryan Garcia. He would knock the sriracha out of Ryan Garcia. So yeah, I already know he's been stripped, but I think he still got the WBC So, um, which I still don't know how Errol Spence jumps the line ahead of Terence Crawford, but this is what the PBC does. They hold bills hostage. They like to play these little games. Fundora could have fought. Fundora um, had the most, you know, longest broken nose I ever seen. You know, if you look at medical reports, worst case scenario, a broken nose should heal within 3 weeks. But basically, his nose was so damaged to where basically it's now August. Going into the second week, pretty much going into the second week of August, and he can't fight. You know, it's just another stall tactic, and this is why people get irritated with the PBC and Al Heyman, and this is why you know, this is why people want the PBC going. This is why they want them going because they continue to do this. They you know, they stagnate. They play these games. They try to freeze out a lot of fighters, and particularly Al Heyman has had a history of freezing out black fighters, and then on his own roster, look what he's doing to Steve Fulton. You know, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck. You got Steve Fulton fighting on the preliminaries. You know, basically, you know, I think the Canelo Berlanga fight. He ain't even fighting on the card. He fighting in the preliminaries. I know he lost to the monster, but damn, to just have him fighting on the preliminaries. But that's what they doing to him. They punishing him, Steve Fulton, and even Steve, you know, shitless when he basically decided to go ahead. So he was supposed to turn down $3 million and just sit. I mean, is you kidding me? He was supposed to just turn down $3 million and just see. That's the difference between him and Frank Martin. If Frank Martin would have went ahead and went with the Shakur Stevenson fight, they probably would have sat Frank down too. But basically, he got talked out of that fight. They put him in the ring with Frank, a fight that he wasn't ready for. But you know, at the end of the day, I don't even think he made, and I don't even think he made the same amount of money. He would have made more fighting Shakur Stevenson. But you know, this is what they do. This is what they do. So now he's fighting on preliminaries. That's what you call a demotion. That's what you call, you know, a humiliation ritual. Well, once again, this is a stall tactic, but at the end of the day, if Terence Crawford wants to fight for that belt, he need to petition the WBO and say, "Hey, man, make me the number one, make me the number one contender, and put me ahead of Fundora because I should be fighting Fundora anyway. Because at 147, I held your belt as part of being a four belt holder, being undefeated. So I should get first dibs ahead of Errol Spence." See, nobody wants to answer that question. See, these people be talking all this talking all this junk about Terence Crawford, but they still can't explain how did Errol Spence jump in front of Terence Crawford to get a shot at Fundora, and basically they're stalling. That's all they're doing. They're just stalling. But I blame Mauricio Solomon for this because this is what he does. One minute he say they gonna lay down the law. Then the next thing you know, oh well, you know, some circumstances that happened, so we're gonna, you know, hold back on making a move right now. It's just always the same thing with these dudes. It's just tip for tap, back and forth, back and forth. You know, same old two steps, same old game plan, same old politics and boxing. But yeah, um, Virgil Ortiz, he don't want none of Terence Crawford. He does not want to fight Terence Crawford. Um, that man instantly said he'll fight Terence Crawford and then say we looking to fight the winner of Fundora and Errol Spence. So he'd rather fight than fight Terence Crawford or fight Errol Spence, which I don't think Errol Spence is. I don't think Errol Spence gonna win that fight. Now, I want to see if people gonna make videos talking about that Ortiz got a gift decision, because everybody couldn't wait to make a video questioning whether Terence Crawford won. I could tell you this much: Terence Crawford clearly won his fight more than Virgil Ortiz did. Terence Crawford didn't get knocked down twice. I'll promise you, there ain't gonna hardly be no videos. And I'm waiting for some of these people to come on my channel trying to troll me so I can cook their ass. I'm ready. Nah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know about that being a draw, but I might would accept it more than saying that Ortiz won that fight. But I think the other guy did enough to get the fight. But once again, you have to understand boxing is a business, and boxing is like an election. It's politics involved, and it has a WWE feel to it. The outcome might sometimes be predetermined. It might be scripted. I mean, Ortiz got banged up. The other guy looked a whole lot better than Ortiz did. Ortiz got banged up. He got busted up. He was leaking. And Ortiz got hurt quite a bit in that fight. But this is what I tell you. This is why you teach fighters not to become knockout happy, even if they do have punching power. See, that's the thing about Tank. Tank is willing to go rounds with you before he gets you up out of there. I think that's the reason why I think Tank is one of the most popular fighters in boxing, because he doesn't try to go for a first round knockout, because he does try to break a fighter down, box a fighter, even though sometimes, or should I say a lot of times, Tank falls behind in his fights. But he has dynamite in both of his hands. He feels like his hands are the equalizers. He always feel like, okay, well, I can say, I can download the intel about this dude and figure out what he's doing, and then I'll be able to, come with a plan later on in the fight and get this guy up out of here. That's just what he did to Frank Martin. Frank Martin spent way too much time backing up, and I knew eventually that was going to cost him. I'm going to tell you right now, Terence Crawford, he would have stopped Ortiz. And Terence Crawford will stop Ortiz. If that's the next fight, Terence Crawford is going to stop Ortiz. And one thing Terence Crawford ain't got to worry about. He ain't got to worry about Ortiz herky jerky. He ain't got to worry about feints with Ortiz. Ortiz is going to come right to Terence Crawford. And that's going to lead to Terence Crawford basically breaking Ortiz down and stopping him. Well, I wouldn't even worry about Tank and Shakur Stevenson right now, because Tank is clearly going to probably fight Jose Valenzuela next. I will be surprised if he fights Shakur Stevenson next, because you have to understand he doesn't have to fight Shakur Stevenson next when he could clearly fight Valenzuela. That's an easier fight to make, and that would be an in-house fight, because both of these dudes are tied to the PBC, so that's easier. That's an easy fight to make. And then plus in negotiations, Valenzuela is going to be easier to negotiate with Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson that made it very clear he'll fight Tank, but he basically ain't taking what you would call no low ball, flat out, trust his records, from CB4 deal. So that's why I think that fight is going to happen next. Yeah, he said that he was in Tim Tsz's team. Well, at the end of the day, if Ortiz is going to get five to maybe $10 million to fight Bud. Just take the damn money, man. At the end of the day, if you lose, so what? You could just say, hey, he was just a better fighter. At the end of the day, you can always bounce back. But this is the thing about Oscar, and this is why this whole stuff about Mexican warriors, yeah, I said it, that's complete cap. You ain't that much of a warrior because you sitting up being selective on who you want to fight. That man flat out said, well, let's see, I want to test myself against the best. Then he turns around and say, well, we're looking to fight the winner of Errol Spence and and Fundora. He said that out of his own mouth. I almost broke out laughing. I mean, he did. I almost broke that, but that's what I'm saying. None of these dudes want to fight Terence Crawford. None of these dudes want to get in the ring with Terence Crawford, but he's supposed to lost. Nobody is saying, hey, I like my chances versus Terence Crawford. This is why I know that they know in their heart of hearts Terence Crawford won that fight. I ain't seen none of them dudes say, yeah, I saw some stuff that I can exploit. Fundora talking about he didn't watch the fight. Yeah, right, dude, stop it. You know damn well you watched that fight, man. Stop the cap, dude. You know you watched the fight. Stop playing these games. And man, the funny thing is I just walked in the house. I just parked my car, just walked in the house. I was thinking and the main event started relatively early. Like, I think the bell rung like around 7:45 or something, maybe 7. I was like, damn. Well, they always do this stuff, and this is why I get irritated. They always have these, like I said, that's what the PBC do. I keep trying to tell you, like, let's just say, I promise you, if the WBC force Fundora's hand and say, okay, you guys got to fight Terence Crawford. We don't want to hear this stuff about, oh, the fight is getting made in January and all this kind of stuff. And then you still have these delusional Errol Spence fans that think that 154 is going to make a difference. Terence Crawford is still going to beat Errol Spence ass if they fight at 154. The fight is going to end in 5 rounds instead of 8. So you guys can sit up there and be in, be in Fantasy Island all you want, hoping and praying that that the weight is gonna make a difference. But at the end of the day, we all know that you Terence Crawford haters and you Errol Spence fun boys are full of shit. Just stop the cap, man. Just stop the cap. Just stop the cap. I think Errol Spence will retire before he fight Terence Crawford again. Errol Spence, he just Terence Crawford's style is just a nightmare for him. You know, once Errol Spence couldn't land them body shots and Terence Crawford kept coming over the top, and then Terence Crawford fought him southpaw most of the fight. He couldn't do nothing with Terence Crawford. Errol Spence ain't gonna be fighting. They saying Errol Spence's eye is real messed up. But like I said before, you get these tactics by Fundora saying, "Oh, my nose is broke. I ain't gonna be ready to fight till November." Like I said, it's just a stall tactic. I mean, when do you just draw a line in the sand and then Mauricio Sullivan lets this stuff continue to go on? They calling Fundora saying just just buy some time. Say, oh, we got a date set. They don't have no date set. Shit, he damn near got knocked out by Ugas. When I saw and everybody knows Ugas is not a big puncher. And Errol Spence damn near got knocked out by him. He damn near got dropped by him. And everybody was talking about, oh, it was a slip. It wasn't no slip. He just got caught. You know? Well, that's the thing. That's why they basically bank on Tank fighting and Canelo fight. Canelo and Tank is keeping the lights on, and then Canelo ain't packing them in like he used to. It's funny, like I said, all of a sudden everybody had this interest in Terence Crawford's numbers. People people want to have people want to put this stigma on Terence Crawford that nobody cares about him. There's no interest in watching Terence Crawford fight, and then these so-called sources, these so-called insiders, just make up a number and then they just throw it out there. And then what happens is you have a lot of these Terence Crawford detractors that'll just piggyback and say, yeah, the fight didn't do good. The fight didn't do this. The fight did. Like I said, as a guy that's actually talking to the people, once again, DAZN has not released the numbers of what Terence Crawford did, or ESPN pay-per-view. They don't usually release the numbers. But it's funny, people will throw out Canelo's fraudulent numbers. Canelo didn't do no 500,000 against Jaime Munguia. Nobody cared about that fight. You keep forgetting I'm in the Bay Area. I work with Mexicans. Nobody cared about that fight. Not even Mexicans wanted to see that fight. So just stop the cap. Well, I already said if Bud can become, a 3-time undefeated champion in 3 different weight classes, that definitely puts him in the GOAT discussion. He doesn't need Canelo to solidify himself as an all-time great, because at the end of the day, Bud was trying to fight everybody, where Canelo has been running from everybody. I've always said this about Canelo, and I stand on this. Canelo will fight. He will fight certain guys, but he won't fight the guy. He's always been that way, and people know it now. And for him to sit up here and try to insult people's intelligence by trying to say, oh, well, Edgar Berlanga is Puerto Rico versus Mexico. First of all, nobody cares about Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga don't have no drawing power. Edgar Berlanga is still fighting in the theater at Madison Square Garden. Okay, he doesn't have a following. He doesn't have a fan base. So can we please stop with this BS? Come on, Canelo. Say what you want to say about Oscar De La Hoya in Trinidad, but when Oscar De La Hoya in Trinidad fought, the timing was right. You had 2 undefeated fighters. They were arguably both pound-for-pound fighters. So the fight made all the sense in the world. Nobody knows who Edgar Berlanga is for the most part. So for Canelo to sit up there and insult to insult his fans' intelligence, but then again, they don't seem to have any intelligence or common sense because they're casual. They don't know how boxing works. And people need to stop it. Like I said before, it's always this, you know what I'm saying? It's always this attack tactic towards Terence Crawford. Everybody is worried about Terence Crawford's numbers. Everybody's worried about how many seats he's selling. But here it is, Teofimo Lopez fighting in theaters and stuff. Nobody cares what Teofimo Lopez ticket sales are. Nobody cares how many people watch him on regular ESPN. Nobody cares about that. But everybody is always worried about what is Terence Crawford's numbers, because they have this fear of this black man. They want to tear down the notion that he's the best fighter on the planet. And I'm sorry to tell you, I know it's going to hurt a lot of y'all people's feelings. Even some of you niggas who still making excuses for Errol Spence getting the Texas T beat out of him. Terence Crawford would have always beat Errol Spence. You can make up excuses about car accidents and all that kind of stuff, and drinking. Once again, that ain't Terence Crawford's job to make sure Errol Spence is taking care of himself outside the ring. That is completely on Errol Spence. If Errol Spence want to be a wankster, that's on him. That's what I'm saying. Why is everybody always worried about what Terence Crawford's ticket sales is? Why are they always worried about what he do on pay-per-view? Like I keep saying, Errol Spence pay-per-view numbers is fraudulent. All that 200 thousand at 300,000. Here's the thing: if Errol Spence was doing those kind of numbers, well, why did the PBC get kicked off of multiple networks? Fox told them to kick rocks. Okay, Fox told them to kick rocks. Showtime told them to kick rocks. NBC was done with them after a year. ESPN didn't like what they were seeing. So I'm just saying, since everybody seemed to be worried about what Terence Crawford is selling, Errol Spence couldn't even get 40,000 people to come see him fight at Cowboy Stadium. And they had tickets for $25. Listen, dude. Just stop it, dude. Stop, dude. Like, stop trolling my channel, dude. Terence Crawford didn't remotely lose that fight, dude. Anybody would come, you showing that you don't have no common sense and that you don't know nothing about boxing. Dude, get off my channel. Because I'm not finna entertain. Block this dude. That fight wasn't remotely a robbery. You got to be like, bro, go to rehab because you were clearly on drugs. No, I'm not riding nobody. Hey, listen, bro, don't come on my channel talking that homosexual talk, bro. You go come out the closet somewhere else, bro. So watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, bro. And I'll watch your mouth. See, that's how we do that. We're not doing this tonight. That fight. Well, if that's the case, then I mean, come on, man. It's always one. It's always one. So I'm glad you got your 30 seconds of attention, but you gone. Anybody else? Anybody else want to troll? So anyway, anyway, like I said before, the PBC got ran off of at least 4 networks since its inception. Well, maybe 5, because I think they was on Bounce TV for a little while. They was on Bounce TV. They was on a couple of other networks, and a lot of people just saw like, like I said, if they was doing the numbers they say they were doing, I said they would still be with Fox. They would still be with Showtime. But they wasn't doing the numbers that they was putting out there. Not even Tank could save them. Not even Canelo could save them. But like I said before, these dudes that sit up here and talk about somebody else, they always be worried about Terence Crawford's numbers. I've never seen so much disdain for a black man. But then we call hey, it's funny. Here it is. You got people attacking Terence Crawford, assassinating his character, putting him down. You know, always got something negative to say. But then these are the same people that's telling us that we should vote for this fraudulent non-black woman and Kamala Harris, who ain't remotely black, but they trying to pass her off as a black woman. And it's been proven that she isn't black. Without a shadow of a doubt, Kamala Harris isn't black. But yet, but so there you have it. So there you have it. Terence Crawford, an actual black man born in Omaha, Nebraska, he get more hate than a person in Kamala Harris that have a history of locking up brothers. for petty crimes. Withheld evidence, was forced and ordered by a judge to present evidence to keep who was basically 3 hours away from getting executed. And Kamala Harris was willing to let him get executed. but that's who y'all like, man, if y'all don't get out of here. Yeah, he said something about that. I was supposed to be at that fight. I got credentialed for that fight. I was supposed to go to that fight, but something happened. I had to stay here. I had some family stuff going on, but I had to stay here. So, but from what I saw, like I said before, I just want to see how many videos gonna get made saying that this fight was a robbery. Probably none. Because they know if you tear down a black person, it leads to views. If you're a black person, that tear down a black person, it leads to views. If you are a non-black person, that tear down a black person, it leads to views. But you're going to have people trolling or people that's going to say, oh, you're just picking on Virgil Ortiz because he's... Man, nobody don't care about that shit. Nobody picking on Virgil Ortiz. I done met Virgil Ortiz. I done interviewed Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is a nice guy. But if he asked me, I would say that you probably did not win that fight. If he asked me, do I think he won the fight? I'll say I thought the other dude should have got the nod. So I promise you, ain't nobody gonna make a big stink because it ain't gonna lead. Listen, that's how it works on social media or media, period. Whenever you can slander a black person, it leads to views. And by the way, on the side note, that's unfortunate what happened to Blueface. Apparently, Blueface got 4 years for violating his probation. So Blueface pretty much done. Hopefully, maybe he could work something out. Hopefully, maybe he can have his lawyers fight his case to where maybe he can get out maybe in 2.5. But I know now in California, they don't let you serve 50%. Now I think it's like 80 now. So he might get out in 3. But shout out to the homie. Shout out to Blueface. Dude, I can see you making a comment. So obviously you're not blocked. Why are you coming on here complaining about being blocked when I clearly can see what you're saying? You don't need to worry about nobody but me. Okay? Don't worry about nobody but blocking you because I can unblock you. I can clear. Obviously, you're not blocked if I can see you saying that you got blocked. So obviously, you didn't get blocked. Damn. The fuck? So, what's up, man? What's on your mind? Okay, so what? Okay, bro, you're not. I just said you're not blocked, dude. What's up, man? What's up, man? Do you got something to say about the fight, or you just want to talk about how you got blocked or unblocked or didn't get blocked? We trying to have a stream here, man. Stop making this about you because you getting on my fucking nerve. Okay? Do you want to talk about the fight, or you want to talk about how you got blocked or didn't get blocked? But anyway, I don't know what Ortiz is gonna do, but for him to sit up there and say that he will fight Terence Crawford and then turn around and say that he more so looking to fight the winner out of Fundora and Spence, that kind of comes across as a duck, and that's gonna look as if it's a duck. Like I said, Terence Crawford is supposed to be showing signs of aging, and you know what I'm saying. His best years is behind him, but nobody still ain't challenging the dude. Fedora ain't said, "Hey, I want to fight Terence Crawford." Virgil Ortiz ain't flat out said it. Then Boots. 1 minute he wants to fight Terence Crawford, then the next minute he said he trying to become undisputed. But like I said, getting to this thing with Boots, and I'm gonna talk about Boots before I end the stream. And like I said, I like Boots. Boots did been on my channel. His father did been on my channel, but Boots is inconsistent too. Here's the thing. A lot of these people, I'm gonna say this again, they're not really Boots fans. Basically, they are seeking get back for Errol Spence getting the Texas steakhouse beat out of him by by Terence Crawford. I mean, he got lumped up. Terence Crawford, he basically hit Errol Spence with the Amarion, the touch, touch. He touched him up, and people are still mad about that. And that's why I was laughing, because the usual suspects couldn't wait to make videos talking about Terence Crawford didn't sell, and all that kind of stuff. The least attorney and a few other people, as if they know. Oh, the fight wasn't really sold out. But I got several people that was there. My man Justin was there. He said the place was packed. I got several subscribers that said they was there and the place was packed. But you already knew who was going to run with this story. And Kevin Iola, who cares what he thinks? Like I said, a lot of these dudes, listen, as a dude that does media, this is real talk. Listen, as a dude who does media, y'all know that I'm as authentic as it comes. That's why a lot of people like the stuff I do. By the way, check out that interview I did with black martial artist Ron Hall. Really good interview for the most part. We was kind of, had some technical difficulties, but it was a good interview for the most part. It was a real solid interview. He talked about, brothers in martial arts and how we not properly represented, and how it's a lot of politics when it comes to making films and all that stuff. So check out that interview. Yeah, he did. Virgil Ortiz was the mandatory at 147, and he didn't want to fight. I remember when I was talking to Coach Red, and Coach Red said, "Well, if Virgil Ortiz want to fight, then he could get it." I said, "Would y'all consider fighting him in Dallas?" And Coach Red said, "Nah, man, nah, we the A side." Yeah, he. Yeah, so Virgil Ortiz been not really wanting to get in the ring. It's something he see. Listen, man, I keep telling y'all, people can talk all this stuff and say the black fighter is this and the black fighter's that. A lot of these fighters just don't want to get beat up by a black fighter. I keep trying to tell you, that's one of the reasons why Lomachenko is hesitant to get in the ring by Tank. He doesn't want to get via knocked out by Tank. He could be okay with he'll be content with losing a decision. He knew Devin Haney in all likelihood wasn't gonna knock him out. Devin Haney was just gonna outbox him, which Devin Haney did outbox him. But he don't want to be a meme. He don't want to be no meme. He don't want to have no memes of him or avatars of him, being stretched out, because he has to go back to Ukraine. And no matter how much people want to try to pretend, they don't. The same way we say they not like us, a lot of them do not like us. And that would hurt him. And I think Virgil Ortiz don't want to get stretched by Terence Crawford, because I think he knows that if he fights Terence Crawford, he's gonna lose, but he's not gonna lose decision. He's gonna get stopped. I have no idea who manages Virgil Ortiz. It might be his pops. And I'm gonna say this again. I have nothing against Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is cool. I done interviewed him. I done interviewed his father. His father, listen. I'm gonna say this about Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz, he gave me an interview. He granted me an interview. His father made sure I got an interview. I interviewed his father. I said, hey, do you think I could talk to Virgil Ortiz? Because Ellie Setback was trying to hog up all the interviews and stuff. But nevertheless, I got through talking to Virgil Ortiz Sr. and did a good interview with Virgil Ortiz Sr. And I said, hey, man, do you think you can get your son to come out for a few minutes? I won't keep him too long. And he told his son, and Virgil Ortiz gave me an exclusive interview when he fought in Fresno a few months ago. So, like I said, I don't have nothing bad to say about Virgil Ortiz, but I just think this particular night he had a bad night, and I just think he didn't win that fight. And that's it. That's all. Oh, if Lomo gets slept by Tank, he just gonna apply for citizenship in the States. He just gonna apply for citizenship because he can't go back home to the Ukraine. If he gets stretched by Tank, he can't go back home. They might tell him not to come back home. Yeah, he just, for the most part, listen, I know a lot of y'all understand. I know a lot of y'all understand schoolyard rules. The after school fight, which, by the way, I was in quite a few of them, but a lot of y'all understood the after school fights. Basically, if you don't understand after school rules, like if you had an issue with somebody, because I'm from that time before everybody's solution to solving a problem was picking up a gat. I'm 49 years old. So I come from that time where if you had an issue, you say, okay, well, I'll meet you across the street. I'll meet you across the street after school. All right, so you go across the street and you basically, you slug it out until, one person say I quit, or until, the people say that, one person has had enough and they break it up. But schoolyard rules was whoever looked the worst after the fight was over, they was declared the loser. Well, the other guy face was intact while Virgil Ortiz face was busted up. So if you go by schoolyard rules, Virgil Ortiz lost that fight. So I'm just breaking down schoolyard rules. Now, some of y'all probably don't understand what schoolyard rules means because some of y'all are millennials. That's fine. But back, y'all from that day where everybody's solution is just grabbing a gun or you jumping somebody. My day, we really ran the fades. We really did 101. Nobody jumped in it. Nobody interfered. You fought until somebody gave up or until somebody was getting their ass whooped so bad to where people just said, all right, man, you done had enough. You're done. Every time, what would happen is sometimes throughout the fight, Ortiz would land a big shot, but then the other guy would just land four straight flush combinations in a row. And people keep acting like Virgil Ortiz didn't get hurt. Virgil Ortiz got visibly hurt at least 3 to 4 times in that fight. Yeah, so okay, well, cool, Ryan. If you going by schoolyard rules, then Virgil Ortiz lost that fight. Then he clearly lost that fight. And that's how schoolyard rules was. If your nose got busted, if you was bleeding, If you had a broken nose, if you had a black eye, and the other dude's face was squeaky clean, that means he did more damage. It didn't matter whether you landed more punches. If he did more damage, he was declared the winner. If you had a busted nose, a black eye, you was declared the loser. Now, if you wanted to run it back or say, okay, after I heal, we gonna do this again in a month, you know what I'm saying? You run it, you know. Well, Ryan, that's just the nature of the beast. That's why I keep telling you, and that's why people came to the conclusion. Some people came to the conclusion that Terence Crawford was losing the fight because I don't know what fight Chris Mannix was watching. Sean Porter was the only one calling the fight right down the middle and really basically breaking it down and why he thought Bud was winning. But you know, at the end of the day, Bud isn't a DAZN guy. So they was going to make it look closer than what it really was. But Bud was clearly in control of that fight. And then Bud closed out the last 2 rounds clearly. You know, clearly. Bud closed out the fight and in good fashion. This is why you don't listen to broadcasters. Watch that fight again. I'm gonna tell you, if you guys got Fire Stick, Tubi got their own DAZN network. They just replayed the Boots fight last night. So they're gonna probably replay Bud versus, Madrimov probably in the next couple of weeks. I don't listen to broadcasters. I don't listen to color commentary. I don't give 2 fucks what they think. I don't pay attention to them, so whatever they say is the gospel. HBO is known for doing that stuff. HBO was known for doing that stuff. Like, basically biased broadcasting. We already know for the most part HBO was anti-black fighter. Now, Max Kellerman would try to be objective, but I didn't always agree with Max Kellerman either. But I'll give you an example. Like I said, I recently watched Oscar De La Hoya and Sugar Shane Mosley for the first time in like 20 years. And I saw it again, and I watched the fight in its entirety. And I remember watching this fight the first time, and I thought Sugar Shane Mosley won the second fight. I thought Sugar Shane Mosley won the second fight more convincingly than he won the first fight. But then HBO's broadcasting was so biased where they didn't acknowledge anything that Shane was doing. Shane was outboxing circles around. He was landing harder shots. Oscar De La Hoya was stagnant. He was hesitant to let his hands go. Oscar De La Hoya was getting nailed. The second half of that fight, Sugar Shane Mosley clearly dominated. The second half of that fight, you can say Shane probably won. Out of the last 6 rounds, he probably won 5. And then he won like maybe 1 or 2 in the first half. So that's either 8-4 or 7-5 in favor of Sugar Shane Mosley. But the broadcast was so pro Oscar De La Hoya to where they made it look like the fight was a robbery, and it clearly wasn't a robbery. And then HBO was talking about, see for yourself, when they replayed the fight. And I remember when it was over, people was talking about, yeah, man, Oscar De La Hoya. And I told one dude, I said, you out of your damn mind. I said, you out of your damn mind if you think Oscar De La Hoya won that fight. How out of the last six rounds you lose 5 of them? Clearly. Now, Oscar had a good couple of rounds, but then around the 4th, you saw Shane start to impose his will. He made adjustments better than Oscar De La Hoya did. And Oscar De La Hoya didn't protest. He didn't contest the fight. Oscar De La Hoya out of his own mouth said that Sugar Shane Mosley beat him twice. Oscar De La Hoya didn't even think he won that fight. Look at Oscar De La Hoya's demeanor. Oscar wasn't sure that he won that fight. Oscar wasn't positive that he won that fight. And what they did was HBO misinterpreted, and they took what Sugar Shane Mosley said out of context, where his dad was giving him some instructions. He was saying, well, I can't do that because he's a little too fast. But you never heard Shane say, oh, I think I'm losing the fight. His dad said it's close, You need to turn it up. You need these next 2 rounds. That's all his dad said. But they made it look like, oh, even Shane didn't think he was winning the fight. Man, shut up. Shut up. Shut your ass up. Oscar lost that fight. And a lot of people have called the DAZN team out for their biased broadcasting. Now, you guys, I really don't get in the middle of that kind of stuff. But if I see Chris Mannix has talked to me several times. I've interviewed Chris Mannix. But if I see Chris Mannix, I'll ask him, what made you come to the determination that, where did you determine that, Madrimov was like winning the fight? Like, what did you see that the other judges didn't see? I saw a guy who was the champ who basically fought not to get knocked out, who didn't impose his will. He was supposed to bring the fight to Terence Crawford, and he was sitting up there like doing a lot of feints, and then at the same time, he wasn't doing nothing. Every once in a while, he'll land a good counter shot. Now, one thing Terence Crawford throughout his career, he is subjectable sometimes to counter shots. But the thing about Terence Crawford, if you land that shot once, you ain't going to get to land it 2 or 3 more times. Did y'all see that dude's face after the fight? Madrimov's fight? You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, his face after the fight. Look at his face. Terence Crawford did have, a welt under his right eye. But did you see how he looked? He was lumped up. He had to wear shades. Terence Crawford wasn't wearing no shades. Terence Crawford the next day went home. Dude had to wear shades because Terence Crawford touched him up. So you tell me who won that fight if you want to go by schoolyard rules. So once again, Terence Crawford wins that fight. All he was doing, Ryan, was just doing feints, but he wasn't really throwing no punches in behind it. He kept feinting. And then every once in a while, Terence Crawford would when he would try to throw the jab, he would try to counter. And he had success landing counters at times, but he just wasn't getting off enough. Every time he hit Terence Crawford with one good punch, Terence Crawford would come with 2, 3. Now, I know there's a lot of these Crawford haters saying that they thought, man, get out of here, man. Man, get out of here. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. Yeah, you could feint all you want, but if you ain't throwing no punch, if you feint and then you ain't throwing no punches, well, you're still gonna lose the rounds. Yeah, that's been floating around for the last year that HBO is considering getting back into boxing. I think it really comes down to what's going to happen with Turkey. And I'm glad that Turkey finally said what a lot of people been scared to say about Canelo, that Canelo won't easy fight. And if I was Canelo need to watch his mouth when it pertains to Turkey Al-Sheikh, because Turkey Al-Sheikh could buy his country. He literally could buy Mexico and own it. And Turkey Al-Sheikh, first of all, here's my thing. Don't piss off a dude that got $46 billion to play with. The man is rich as hell. Don't play with a man that got a $45 billion line of credit with a B. Yeah, I said it. That dude could buy Mexico. Okay? That dude could block every Canelo. He could just, like, for real. That man could just buy all the tickets and make sure nobody comes to Canelo. He could block Canelo's date. So if I was Canelo, I wouldn't be talking too crazy about him. And it's funny, the main people that always have questionable opponent selections and Tank and Canelo, they the dudes that had the most problems with Turkey Al-Sheikh. They the ones, Canelo is standing up for himself. How is he standing up for himself when the man is willing to put mega millions in his pockets? But he pricing himself out. So riddle me that, Batman. But anyway, you guys, appreciate you. I'm out.